All right, here we are, you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Donovan Saadiq, the Inland Empire Informer, and I am here to inform you on what is going. A lot of you guys are shocked and you are surprised. The Rams are headed to the Super Bowl, which means SoFi Stadium will be hosting the Super Bowl right here, 60 miles away from Moreno Valley. If you got tickets, you can go and checked out the Super Bowl. And if you're bogarting a business, you can go there and probably get an off ramp or somewhere on the side of the freeway and sell whatever it is you need to sell. So, hey, we are happy to have you guys here. It's great. It's been a great day so far, but it's even a better day because in the building, because of COVID, in her home, and in my home, I have District 1 special election candidate Elena Baca Santa Cruz is in the house. So, guys, give her a warm welcome and an applause. We really appreciate it. And we have some of her information down there. So, if we don't get to some questions that you might guys want to know, her email's right there. And let me tell you guys something about Elena. When I first ran across Elena, I ran across her because of her mother. And she is her mother's child, but she is not her mother. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, you've got to hate on this person and that person is, tear her head off and all this other stuff." I don't tear heads off people that haven't done anything to me or I don't have an issue with. So we don't do that. It's, you got to be fair to people as they are. And I'm not into group hate and group think. If I don't like you, I don't like you, and so on and so forth. And Elena, I'm going to tell you, I was most impressed with you when a coup was attempted in September in regards to your mother's seat. And you came out. And one thing I do like about the Bacas, Chris included, and everybody that I've ran across, is you guys stand on what you believe. And that is very, very rare in a public official or a public person. So I was very impressed with you when you came out and spoke because you spoke so passionately. And even in this campaign, so far, your signs are everywhere. When I call you, you're out putting a sign up or you're out meeting somebody. I mean, you're getting it and you're going after it. And I think that is an awesome thing. And it's also good in politics that we have here in Moreno Valley because I see the changing of the guard. Okay. I'm a little bit older than you, a lot older than you actually. And we see that for a long time, the same people who incorporated the city still are actually running the city. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and that's not a knock on anybody who might be a baby boomer or anything, but we're in the 21st century now, and we need new ideas, new faces, and new people. And if you are successfully elected, you would be the second Latina ever elected to city council here in Moreno Valley. You will be the third female. No, there's been five or six female that's ever been elected to the board.
Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie Bollinger.
Bonnie, Robin, Carla, Victoria.
Okay, that's right.
You have
I
any
forgot
more?
Carla. Yeah. That I think that was it.
Okay, five.
But yeah, but the point is, there's a changing of the guard that is happening, and I'm one that is for the changing of the guard. So everybody out there, welcome to the show. I'm going to give this to the candidate, and you just, for a lot of people, because there's been a gentrification out of LA, they weren't here when your mother initially won the election. And, we had the WLC wars, which I call them the wars. So just tell us a little bit about you. Why are you running? And, just give us that intro.
Sure. So I'm Elena Baca Santa Cruz. I'm a candidate for District 1, the capital of Moreno Valley, as my mom would call it. Um, I'm a longtime resident. My mother moved us out of Los Angeles in 1990 to come out to Moreno Valley for a better life. I attended Canyon Springs High School. I attended Moreno Valley College when it was called Moreno Valley Campus because it was not its own college. I remember when it became its own college and we welcomed Dr. Monte Perez, our first president. And we held a huge ceremony for him at City Hall, the first time I'd ever been in the rec center, because we were just so happy that we'd finally grown up enough of a city to have our own college. I later started working there at Moreno Valley College. I'm still with the district. I'm over at Riverside, but I've been with Riverside Community College District for going on my 11th year now. Um, during those 11 years, I've been on the executive board and officer of the union, California School Employees Association, one of the largest unions in California. I've been an officer there for 10 years, having served the last 2 years as union president. I have been intimately involved in all things politics and education here in Moreno Valley for probably the last 10 years. If I don't make it to a council meeting, I watch it on MVTV. So I do watch the meetings. Even if you don't see me, I do know what's going on. I'm aware. I read the agenda on Thursday nights when it comes out. I call and ask questions about issues. I know our mayor and our council. I've worked on the campaigns. I was part of electing the first Latino, Jesse Molina, back in the day. We knocked on every door in that was District 1 in the past. When my mom ran for school board, it was back when it was harder. It was not by trustees area. It was at large. So we walked the whole district from Sunnymead Ranch all the way down. What is that? Gentian, where it cuts off for Santiago down there. We've knocked on every one of those doors. I've worked on the mayor's campaign. I've knocked on all the doors in District 4. I've worked on the last 2 campaigns in District 1, the new District 1. I've knocked on all of these doors. I spoke to most of the residents, if not face-to-face, on a telephone call, dropping literature at their doors. Not only do I know these problems and issues and opportunities in District 1, but I've lived them out front, going to every event. I've announced the Moreno Valley parade for 4th of July, one of my favorite events in the city. But I've been an announcer 2 years. I rode in the parade with my mother and it's one of our family's favorite events, the family festival after. I don't think another city has something so grand as ours. We initiated the El Grito in partnership Moreno Valley College and the consulate in San Bernardino. We've brought it over to the rec center and the amphitheater. We are doing Dia de los Muertos because we understand that we have a large Hispanic population here. We're a Hispanic serving city here, so we need to be in touch with our residents. So, I've been involved and attend and I've thought about issues and have given my ideas. And, I live this city. I live and breathe here. I've raised my children here and I want to give back. I love this city. I love Moreno Valley, and I'm ready to move us forward.
All right, that sounds like that's a great thing. Now, just because you were a child here, that your child years, you have no control of where you live, so you are a resident. Not born and because I wasn't born and raised here either myself, but I've been here since I was little, and I'm still here. I think Roy is probably one of the oldest, people that I know of that was actually born here and is still running around in the area. So there's not many of us running around that have that kind of background. You went to Canyon Springs.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember when they were building it. That's how long I've been out here. But here's a question: what makes you the candidate best qualified to represent the district?
I think I touched on that a little bit.
A little bit.
I intimately know our residents. I know our opportunities. I know the issues that we that face here. I know about our Box Springs Water District. I remember when we were knocking on doors trying to get the residents to attend the meetings because we needed to fix that water. It was a big issue. And the issue that we were coming across was that most of the tenants were not the owners. So they didn't get a vote. So we needed to reach out for each of them to get a proxy to make some change. But we had to knock on their doors and let them know there's nothing you can do more than to inform somebody of their power. And, working with the residents there in Edgemont was so important to my mother, to our family, and to all of us at large, because if somebody makes a difference, it doesn't just affect them, it affects a lot of other people. Yeah. But when we make small changes, it's a ripple effect. So I'm glad to be part of that, and I want to continue to be part of that. I will continue the work that we've moved Edgemont and our part of the city forward. We're the capital of Moreno Valley.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to finish that revitalization of Sunnymead. We need that mall. What are we going to do with that mall? We have to bring business. If we don't bring business, the homeowners, we're going to have to pay the bill, because there's no way we're going to handle less response time. We want our police officers well funded. We want our firemen to have all the equipment that they need. We need to fund these. And if we don't bring business, the taxpayers will have to fund this. So we've got to bring business. We've got to be business friendly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that makes a lot of sense. And we're going to get into the different businesses that we can do, or what are your ideas from some things to revitalize that. Um, and you touched on it in your intro. How you often you attended the meetings and stuff like that. Um, and by the way, you guys, if you guys have a question, please put it in the thing, and I'll try to get it to the chats, and we'll get that. Um, One of the questions that was sent to me was, what can be done to get our local? Well, we're going to touch on that later. I'm a veteran, so the biggest thing about being a veteran is, as we know, March Air Reserve Base is still the biggest employer in the city. You know, then comes the school district where you work. I mean, there's a lot of jobs there, and as we know, the March just got announced to have the tanker thing. So that kind of tells us March is going to be here for a while, and we're not going to be on that base closure list, and where they can move on out and everything like that. So a good portion of March Air Reserve Base, especially the operational side, sits in District 1.
Yes.
What are you going to do as the District 1 representative to have a, not that we have a bad relationship with March, because Moreno Valley doesn't have one, but as a District 1 representative, what are you going to do to kind of make March more strategically pleasing to the national agenda, and to work with the commanding general over there and some of the people? Because March does have reservists that rent the hotels and stuff during reserve weekends, and you have the different people coming from different cities. So as a representative, what can you do to maybe kind of expand March's global reach
I think
and
we
what
need to
they need?
continue. Yeah, I think we need to continue what we're doing right now. We
Mm-hmm.
competed for that, the placement of these new fueling.
Tankers.
We
Mm-hmm.
competed against two other bases.
Yeah.
So what we're doing right now is bringing in this business, and if we bring in this, then we can expand more. But we're competing with other bases. So right now we're headed on the right track because we just won that, and
Mm-hmm.
this helps other businesses. I remember when the base first shut down, my family owned the donut shop right across the street,
Mm-hmm.
and our business went down completely. So when we bring business to March, when our city and businesses and residents support the base, there's auxiliary and secondary spending and benefits to the city and the businesses around it. So when we all work together, we all can move up together.
Okay, great. Here's a question by Shantae Wilder. She says, I understand the need to cater to the Hispanic community, but what about the other demographics within the city? I think that's a good question.
I think it's a great question because a lot of times we only think about the majority, and a lot of places it's not the Hispanics, but here it happens to be. But we can't just think about the majority, and I think we need to focus more on the minorities. So if we need to bring in multicultural events, but like focus on, like we just had Juneteenth. It's a national holiday. Why are we not educating and bringing people into our community and giving? I mean, the whole fact about behind Juneteenth was that the lack of education. People didn't know that they
No.
were
Mm-hmm.
free. And it took how long for that? We shouldn't be like that anymore. We should be out there educating people, getting the word out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dora Capalino, sorry if I'm butchering your name. Please excuse me for that. She says she is so qualified to represent District 1. Please, we need a female to represent our city. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. A big question that came in also is, what is your thoughts on, we have the city of Paris, our sister city Paris is right there. They have, I believe, 8 districts or 7 districts or something like that, and they're way smaller than we are. What is your thought on expanding the district? Like you said, back in the day, you had to walk the whole thing. And a rumor is the reason why the districts were made bigger is to stop recalls. So, are you for expanding the districts with 210,000 people and growing? To have only 4 districts just doesn't make sense in the, especially for you as a representative. You have to represent almost 60,000 people in this district alone.
Yeah, but in the past, when we had larger districts, we didn't have we only had a ceremonial mayor. So me as a resident in my home where I live, I only had one council person, and sometimes he or she was the mayor over the whole city. Now I have 2 representatives. I have my council person and I have the mayor. So if my council person isn't able to help me, I can go straight to the mayor. I have 2 people who represent. So instead of looking at when we went from 5 districts to 4 districts,
Mhm.
we didn't lose a representative, like the 5th person, because that person didn't represent any particular person. We gained it. We just doubled the
Mhm.
people that represent us because the mayor is responsible all year long for the whole district. And as far as expanding to 6 or 7 or any higher, we got to think about the space, the salary, the health and welfare benefits that we pay them. It just right now it doesn't seem like the time we should be adding in salaries or health and welfare benefits for elected officials just because we want to add more representatives. And what would we have to do? Refigure the dais as well? Like I think we have 2 representatives at each home. You have your council person and your mayor. And then move up. You have your supervisor. You have assembly. In our city, I don't think we can afford to pay another salary and benefits for another district.
Well, yeah, especially when they gave themselves raises and stuff like that. No, that's another story. But but on that same thing, as you know, we have commissions and boards, and we had a lot of great commissioning and boards. And because of COVID now, a lot of things can't be done. They can't meet together. But we have a lot of spaces empty on commissioning and boards. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a shame because the reason we have the vacancies is because the current board cannot fill the vacancies. We have a vacancy on the agenda for Tuesday. So I hope that we're able to confirm Matthew Chen. I saw him at the city council. I saw him speak. He spoke up when they made that illegal appointment. He seems to be involved, engaged. He ran for office. That takes a lot for him to run for office. So I would think that he would make a good fit for the planning commission. And I guess we'll see on Tuesday whether this board can finally move us forward. If they could fill this vacancy, maybe they could fill all the other ones. I just went onto the website. There's vacancy on every commission because the last time they brought it, it was a 2-2 vote, 2 yes, 2 no. A lot of things seem to be 2 yes and 2 no for the last year since Carla passed. That's that last time we were able to move anything forward. So we'll see on Tuesday if we're able to do any city business.
Okay, great. That's great. So we got to get those boards done by the residents, and also by having commissioning and boards, this also gives the residents. And you're a political person and you're an educated person. Like a lot of people are educated. I'm not saying nobody's educated out there, but this is another way of regular citizens helping make decisions in the city. People that are on these boards. So if you're on a board and you're advising the representative and say, hey, if you're on the heritage board, hey, we need to preserve this because this is why, and you got all the paperwork, it helps them make better decisions. So that's an important thing. So we're taking a part in our city and making the decisions to keep the city where it's going.
Yeah, I would think that anybody running would want to take a seat on a commission first and see how I sat on the library commission for 3 years, maybe about 4 years ago. So that was it was good. You get to contribute without any payback. You're not going to gain anything, but you sit in there, you go to your meetings twice a month, you report to the city council. It was a great experience.
Right. Absolutely. Stefania Carter. Stefania, I hope you are back in California. You were in Atlanta last time I saw you, running around the globe. We're in a pandemic. She says housing and homelessness are rampant in Moreno Valley. How can we address these issues and not just sweep it away and under the rug?
Yeah. I know homelessness and the housing crisis are rampant way further than Moreno Valley. But what we've done here, what we can do here in the Moreno Valley is twofold. For our businesses who are experiencing crime because of homeless in their area, in their yards, and they're in front of their business, they need to file a no trespassing with the city in order for when you call for help, whether it be the police or code, that you do have a no trespassing filed with the city.
Right.
Secondly, with those who would like to get back to work and just need some guidance, some help, the mayor started the homeless to work program, and they just received more money to expand it, as well as we need social programs. A lot of the homelessness is due to mental health. They're veterans. We need more veterans services. These are not just people that chose. Some of them are not just people that chose to be there. There's something that we can do, and we as a city have to do something. We can't just try and get them and move them along. We have to address the social issues there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great thing. And when it comes to things in regards to the city. We have a city app. A lot of people don't know that, and I think we need to do a better job of communicating to the residents that we have limited resources and the people that we employ and stuff. But like what I use in my area, and you'll see me all the time on Facebook, is I'm using a city app and I'm calling in graffiti, and it's done within 24 to 36 hours. I've never seen them do anything within 24 hours. The graffiti's gone the next day. So if you use that city app, if you got illegal dumping and all this other stuff, it's all there on the app. And the number one thing I'm going to say to use that app for, it gives the email of all of the representatives and the city staff. So if you want to write them a nice, nasty letter like I do, always CC the clerk. That way it's on file, and she got it too. So you got that, and you could be in constant communication with these people to upkeep your neighborhood and do great things like that, because the city can't be everywhere where they want to be, and representatives can't be everywhere where they want to be, because Elena, you currently work full time, correct?
Yes.
So as a full-time representative, how much time do you think that you would put into the district in regards to, not only are you a full-time worker, you're also a mother and a grandmother. So tell us a little bit about that.
About my job?
Your job and the family dynamics, because you have a life outside of representative, but you're running because you want to, do for the people and all that other stuff. But you also have a life outside of that. So
I think my family has a history. We kind of schedule our lives around where we're going. I was just looking through my Facebook today, and looking at all the events we've been to. I was looking for a picture, and it's just I was looking. The one I posted today was RCC's dinner with the president, or it was the Hispanic Chambers installation dinner, or it was the Christmas event with the scholarship fund. We're always, when we say the other life I have, most of the life has been serving our community. I attend things, I go to things, I volunteer. Before getting into politics, I've been a t-ball coach with Canyon Springs Little League. I've been the treasurer for the PTA at Palm Middle School. I've been a member of the school site council at Honey Hollow. I have received the Community Service Award from the Moreno Valley Unified School Board. I'm out there. I'm volunteering. And so I don't think I'd have to, it's too much outside of this. This has already been part of what we're doing. We go to the events.
Right.
We're part of this community, and we attend all these events. So it's not like I'd have to choose between what we were going to do that night and representing the city. We're already at these events. We're already planning on most of these. I wouldn't need to change my Tuesday night schedule. I'm already either at the council, or if it's too cold, I'm watching on MVTV. But so there wouldn't be too much of a change of where I spend my time. It would be still serving, representing the city, the members,
doing what you guys already do. It's just part of what you guys do.
It has been service for a long time.
Yeah, public service. So we have the school district now, and I think this is really great because you're really big in education, and your mom was big in education. Not only was she a city council member and a public servant, she was also a student advocate. So our relationship with the school districts, and it's perfect for you being already working at the college, because now you could kind of be that bridge for our students, our high school students who want to go from high school and transition into college. Not everybody's going to go to a straight 4-year college. They might have to go to a junior college like you and I did. And then you go from there, and you're a great representative to do that. But everybody, do not get it twisted. The city council is not the school board, but you guys do and will cross paths on certain things. So tell us a little bit about your relationship as a representative with the school board and how that's going to work, the dynamics of that.
Well, having worked having lived here in Moreno Valley, and when my mom was elected to the Moreno Valley School Board, she wasn't able to represent students in Moreno Valley. So for those 4 years, I did advocacy of students here in Moreno Valley. Since then, I've been intimately involved. In fact, when I decided to run, it was I did call a few friends, people I consider friends, and one of them was our superintendent, Martin Kenziora, and he cried. He said, "I'm so happy," and I said, "Thank you, Dr. Kenziora." The last school board meeting that I went to at work, where I work at the college district, I hadn't decided yet,
Mhm.
and Dr. Robin Steinbach, who's the president there, said, "I know you're going to run. I know this is the best thing for our city." I'm
Mhm.
um, so these two heads of our college and unified school districts are friends. They're people I consider friends, and I know that we work right now. The city works intimately with Moval Learns. So we just got another huge grant from Amazon, and that
Ooh.
allows the city of Moreno Valley to pay students who are attending school full time at Moreno Valley College. They have to be Moreno Valley residents attending Moreno Valley College, and they give them a stipend every month so that they don't have to choose between going to school and going to work. So you get to learn as you earn. So every month, these students, residents of Moreno Valley and Moreno Valley College, are given money. So this is a partnership that we've created through the city. I don't know if happens across the state, but I know
Mhm.
that we're because of this great partnership and relationship
Wow.
between our city and our community college, that they're able to do this. We're not doing that at Riverside City College, and we're not doing that at Norco. Moreno Valley is the only city that's putting their money behind their residents. Not
Behind
only do they
students.
do that with that, they also do what about hire Moval? They're giving money to companies in Moreno Valley if they hire Moreno Valley graduates. They could have been recent high school or college graduates, and puts more money in the business owner's pocket, so it expands their dollar and it helps keep jobs here locally, helps them incentivize to hire our residents at their local jobs at the small businesses.
That's awesome.
So
That is awesome.
partnerships is what
See, see, and that
maximizes our money.
and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know that these programs exist, or the people that know them know, but a majority of us we don't know these programs. So, but I'm glad that you kind of talked about how Amazon is doing what they're doing and whatever. Now we are proliferated with warehouses. Now, the question is this: what is your take on the influences of developers and warehouses within Moreno Valley? And what is your thought on that? Do we still go down that path, or do we have enough, or you know is there something else we can relate to? Because I'm one that's always saying this as somebody who's been here for a very, very long time. You are what your city brings to the city as far as jobs, and this is a 68% city comprised of Latinos, Hispanics, and Latinos. And I think it's a disservice when you see these warehouses that are not the warehouses of our parents. They're the warehouses that are automated, where you only need 45 people, technicians, and all the things that go with it. So you don't need that many people. So what kind of jobs can we bring and attract, which goes into also another question: what can be done to get our local economy back in shape after this COVID thing is over? So there's basically two questions in one. What is your thought on the influences of developers? Do you think we need to continue with warehousing as our savior? Because I know it initially happened because of the downturn in the economy. And what is your idea to uh, bring local economy back, to bring us back?
Yeah. Yeah, I see. Well, first of all, we need to keep our local businesses in business. We need to make sure that they're solid and that they're able to stay in business. We don't want to lose the business we have, but we also need to make it attractive for businesses to come to Moreno Valley, keep the economy flowing, keep our property taxes low.
Mm-hmm.
So some examples could be reducing the red tape. That's particularly limiting for businesses, for them to have to keep going back and forth to City Hall. So we've tried to reduce the red tape, and they're doing an awesome job of that right now at City Hall. We need to expand the programs like Hire Moval, because that helps the businesses stretch their dollar, and that also keeps our residents here in Moreno Valley. And then we also need to go after grants. If we get a grant to fix our roads, then we have more money to improve our programs with the schools, or to make impactful changes for our social programs. But when we go after grant money, that frees up our general fund.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that we need to do. But as far as the warehouses, you're right. The jobs of the past that were in there, where there was a guy walking around with a pick
Yeah,
list,
box. Mm-hmm.
Those don't really exist. And so when they say that these jobs are no good jobs anymore, well, they're not exactly right. There's less jobs, yes,
Right.
but those jobs inside the warehouses, those are skilled labor now.
Mm-hmm.
So When I worked at Norco College, I worked there for 6 years, and I worked on a grant through the National Science Foundation,
Mhm.
and that was the supply chain education. And so what that grant was to train new technicians that would be working on these systems. They were there to install, maintain, upgrade, and troubleshoot the system within those four walls. Because if the whole building is automated, that means that every single component can go down.
Right.
So instead of having 100 low skill employees,
Right.
you may have 20 high skill. So you're still spending the same number of dollars on your employees' salary, but they're higher. So when they keep saying we don't want those kind of jobs, they don't know what they're talking about. They're higher skill jobs. Now they don't hire as many people. Well, that's the business plan. It's to expand how much money they're making. They're not going to continue to build warehouses where there's 1,000 people with low skill when they can automate that.
Sure.
So it's, it's a balance.
There's a
that
give
we
and take, right?
Yeah, it is.
Right.
So the complaints of the past that we don't want these low skill jobs, that go nowhere. They're paying minimum wage. Well, you got that. We don't have that very many. They're the new warehouses. Nobody could afford to do business that way anymore. They can't afford that. Everything is in automation, and it's fast because we want everything on our door in 2 days or less.
Right. And speaking of that, just a quick follow up to that. I think the problem is not that people really hate the warehouses. It's the fact that the city council and the planning commission keeps rezoning areas that were not zoned for warehousing. Okay, like where I live in Edgemont, according to the original city plan, the warehouses were supposed to be right here where I live, and there hasn't been a warehouse.
There, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
And there's no warehouses nowhere around here. And so you've got people who have invested in 500,000, 700,000 homes on the east side that have a warehouse smack dab right in front of their home, which brings the value down and things of that nature. And like I said, I'm not an engineer or anything, but it's like, this is the only city I've ever seen where warehouses are just almost everywhere rather than in a certain general area. You see what I'm saying? Like if you look at Riverside, they're putting theirs all on the 215 right there. And it seems like all their warehouses are this way and that way. But here in Edgemont, this is another reason why Edgemont's the way it is because it was zoned to be commercial, and there's nothing here. I mean, it's just the home, nobody wants to invest in their homes. And it just seems like we got a warehouse here one day and then a new warehouse pops up, over there on the east side. And it just doesn't make sense to have a warehouse on the high end of the city where people have money and to do those things. So that's just one of the things. But here's a question that I think, let me get back up here. It was week. Okay, wait. Shantae says, how has your past shaped the woman you are now?
Well, you could say I grew up knowing that we do for our city, that when you give back to your community, that you should attend events and stand up for injustice. When we were younger, before my mom was on the school board even, we used to drive out to Magic Mountain every Saturday and protest because they were targeting Black, Hispanic visitors and searching them.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Remember that? Only us. Though, right? Yeah. It didn't matter whether the guy next to you had more tattoos than you. Right. It looked like he was more trouble. They were stopping the Black and the brown people. Yeah. So after weeks and weeks of protesting and getting on the news, finally, Magic Mountain installed metal detectors. Mm-hmm. So they changed their policies. Another thing was when Taisha Miller was shot. My dad had us out there every day in front of the police station protesting. When the busing was cut at Valverde Unified, not only did we protest in front of the school district, we went to the superintendent's house and protested. But when there's something going wrong, you say something. And then after that was the first lessons I learned growing up in my house. And then after that was, if you don't like your representative, then you be the representative. Don't sit here and complain. Don't say we have potholes, but you don't have the app and you're not reporting it. Don't say, oh, look at this graffiti, and then just drive off to work. If you see something, say something. Be part of the solution. Don't come at me with all kinds of problems if you don't have the solutions too. Let's sit down and figure out a solution. Don't just say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Let's say, okay, this is wrong. What can we do? What are your ideas? Because I don't have all the answers.
Right.
And you don't have all the answers, but when we bring everybody to the table, we can have a diversity of thoughts, ideas, experiences, and we'll probably come up with the answer. But we've got to do it together. We can't be just finding problems. We've got to find solutions. And so
Yep.
that's how I was raised. You stand up for what's wrong, and if you don't like the representative, you be the representative. And what happened in November, October, I didn't
Yeah.
like the representative, and
Right.
that's why I'm sitting here on your TV show, because I don't like it. I have to do something, or I can't say anything. If
Right.
you don't, then just sit back. If you don't want to help and fix it, then just don't.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
you have to be out there. You have to be willing to work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah, and kudos to anybody who runs for office, because now you're subjecting yourself to being open to your privacy. You got to sit there and let people curse you out, and you can't really fight back. And if you do fight back, you have to fight back in a way where it is polite, because it doesn't look good when you're cursing back at your constituents and all that other good stuff. So I ran twice, and I'm telling you, it was hell and high water just doing it. Getting out there and doing the work and stuff. So kudos to you and anybody else that is running. I think one of the biggest problems that we have, especially when the young people start running, is the fact that, let's say they lose and then they go away and we never hear from them again. It's like, wait, what happened to your issue? It's like me, my issue was getting Edgemont and District 1 its fair share of property taxing and what we're supposed to do compared to the other districts. I mean, you look at this district, so people coming in, heading east, coming into Moreno Valley, what's one of the first things they see coming on Alessandro? They see old ass Edgemont. You know what I mean? And it's like,
I know. I
really?
went put up signs down there. I saw
Yeah,
it.
you know what I mean? And, but some people say, well, that's historic. I get that
No.
aspect too, but it looks like it's still in the 1970s. But then if I go to District 2, I'm seeing a lake. I'm seeing all this stuff up there, and I'm just like, well, where's ours? What's going on here? So I think that's a super big thing. But another good thing is, compared to the other districts, Elena, a lot of people don't believe this. There's a lot of, excuse my language, stuff. I was going to say something else, but I said, no, I'm not going to do that. There's a lot of stuff here in this district. City Hall is in this district. The majority of the base is in this district. A lot of businesses are in this district. I don't care what you say about the east side. We have more businesses, and Riverside is on that other side as well that we have to compete with. We just got a new school down in Towngate, and we got the new Edgemont school area over there. Yeah, we've got the Box Spring. I mean, there's a lot of issues that a representative would have to deal with. And one of the ones that I really did respect your mom for was the animal shelter. Please tell me, what are you going to do about, and they've lowered the euthanasia rate significantly. I give them all of that. But to me, one death is one too many. What are you going to do in regards to that? Because I remember at one time your mom had 3 or 4 animals she adopted.
We have 4 cats and 2 dogs from the shelter, and those are the ones that that ended up staying. But we have had, over the last years, we bring home someone and she's right away on her Facebook up for adoption.
Right.
We've fostered maybe 30 animals. We foster and put them on our social media free. I remember the best one was a mother cat who had her babies at our house. So that was awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
But everybody knows that we're strong supporters of the animal shelter. I just, now that my mom's gone, I have business owners calling me. So just Thursday, a business owner right on Sunnymead Boulevard called me and she says, I'm so sorry to call you, but a dog ran on the freeway at Paris. I said, hold on, let me call Steve. So I called the director right away, got him on the line, did a 3-way, and we were able to locate the little dog that had ran up the on-ramp. So I'm intimately aware with the staff and the issues, and we do everything we can to support. We go after the grants that allow us to do the free neutering for the animals, and residents are able to bring in stray cats and dogs. Well, mostly stray cats, get them in, get them fixed, and release them again. But there's a lot of grant funds that we go after. We partnership with a lot of rescues. So even though you see on social media, I've seen it quite a bit, oh, this dog's going to be, put down and we need a
Yeah.
rescue, and we'll call over them. They're like, no, we already have a rescue on the way. So anytime I see that, I call over there right away. And
Yeah.
our staff has very good relationships with a
Yeah.
bunch of rescues. We've reduced our euthanasia rate incredibly, and I
Yeah.
plan to support them as much as I can, even if it means taking in more animals, especially over the holidays. That's when it's
Yeah.
hard to get the rescues in. But we support low and no cost adoptions.
Sure.
We're over at the mall trying to get adoptions and partner with PetSmart. But I will continue to support the animal shelter. I agree. One death is way too many.
Yeah,
And if they have to
exactly.
live at my house until I can get them adopted, then that's fine.
Yeah, I do my best. I got a feral that I've been with me for 3 years now, but also one of the biggest problems that we have is during the 4th of July, you have the illegal fireworks that happen, and then of course a lot of strays happen because of the fireworks that kicks off, which is a problem. But another thing, and I hate to go here with you guys, but I think this is a big problem, and Elena, I'm very sure you've heard about this. We are a pivotal point in the human trafficking scenario between Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and San Diego. We're in the triangle. And sometimes on Sunnymead Boulevard, it was known for a big trafficking area over there. And what kind of things can we do to bring more resources to help women in shelters and those kind of resources for the ladies and people of sexual abuse in those type of situations?
I think the first thing we need to do is elect a woman to our city council. Right now, we have 4 men up there.
Good point.
And I hate to say it, but we have different perspectives on things.
Yeah.
And in addition to, we need to educate our residents so they can recognize trafficking. I've been where was I? I think I was at the college, and there's signs on the back of the door if you're being trafficked, and so we just need a lot more education, because if we don't know what to look for, how would we know? And that's what you need to do to stop it, is you need to be able to recognize it. We need to make sure our police officers, who are most of the out there on the ground with their boots on the ground constantly, our police and our fire, who are a lot of times first responders, and they may be getting lied to by somebody who is being trafficking somebody. So they some education and training so that they're well trained, because we can't ask them to do a job if we don't provide the training.
Right.
So,
Right. And I'm kind of glad you brought up the police officers, and this is something that's not new. Our police department is outsourced to the sheriffs, and we are the biggest city that has the biggest portion of that sheriff's contract. As a council member, and yes, you represent the district first. That's what you should do, and you already know that. But you also represent the city. And if people don't feel safe, that is your first duty, is to protect the citizenry. So we have this contract, and it's going up for renewal. And I know Ed is on it, which is going to be great. We got Ed up there to kind of, you guys can kind of talk and banter and kind of work that out. What's best for the city. But we're paying a big share of that contract, and yet all the resources come with it. What is your stance on, should we pay more to get more sheriffs, or should we pay less? Where do you stand on the sheriff contract?
Well, as president of the union, I have been the lead negotiator for the last 2 years. So I plan to negotiate our dollars to the fullest. But I definitely think that we need our police officers. They're providing a wonderful service here in Moreno Valley. And if we can't go cheap on safety, not here in Moreno Valley, when we have residents complaining about response times, and we have residents, we need to fund the police so that we can get what we need from them. And, without funding, what are we going to get? We can't afford our own police department. We've looked at that.
Yeah, that's not
and
feasible.
We can't afford to buy our own helicopter. We have access to what we have access to through this contract. It far exceeds what we're paying.
Right. Yeah. And I try to explain that to people. It's like, yeah, we're paying a big portion of it, but look at what we got. We got a pop unit. We get all this stuff that it's all incorporated. So even if it happened every day, those resources are in the contract.
Absolutely.
So I'm not saying you guys call the police every day and say, hey, I need something over here, and you use those resources. But when we need them, we need them.
Right.
And they did an excellent job in the 90s, because we had a major gang problem here in Edgemont. and it has been very, very quiet since they cleared that area out. And now everything's on the east side. No, but
But you do hear about it, but you hear about it
yeah,
because it's big news now. If you
right,
didn't hear about it, it would have been because, well, we're used to that. It happens every day. But we hear about gang activity. And the reason we hear about it is because we're shocked. We're like, oh my
yeah,
God, there was a shit, and we
yeah,
should be because
yeah.
they're doing a good job. I
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, I believe that.
exactly. Like I don't know if you heard earlier this week they had, or last week was it? They had the gang sales. They found a bunch of guns and stuff or something. It was in the Press Enterprise or something
I
like
think
that.
I did see it. I'm
Yeah,
Moreno Valley man, right?
yeah. It was
Yeah.
Moreno Valley Man. Yeah, he was just selling guns or
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
saw. I was driving home and I saw a domestic. They had a helicopter. We had a
Hmm.
helicopter, a bunch of police. I saw a SWAT truck up there. Yeah, and
Yeah,
so their response time up there was immediate.
right,
So we
right,
can't cut funding on the services we want.
right, right. So let me ask you this, and well, it's not me. It's a question that came in. What happened in September? I think that's a big issue because what happened in September actually put you here because you were on record saying, I'm not going to run for office, but don't get excited or nothing like that. But we know things change. What the person wants to know is, what is your feeling on what happened during that? Because if you get on the dais, you're going to be sitting next to one or two of the conspirators in that situation. And that's my words, not your words. Um, what is your feeling on that? And then why did you feel that you had to change your stance from what you had said in public?
Sure, I um think they were wrong. I think they were abused their power. I think they had a God complex and felt that they were above the law and didn't need to listen to reason. They tried to point at an earlier incident that they felt was wrong, but even then, it wasn't the same
It was
situation.
made
The
right.
agenda item did say what it needed to say, so this one was twice as wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless, we shouldn't. It had even if they believed that one was wrong, shouldn't we learn from our mistakes? They said no. I know that was wrong, so I'll do it too. And even after being um, admonished
Mm-hmm.
by people after we all came out and said you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, they did. They were still so arrogant about what
Right.
they did that I couldn't sit by. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be done with politics. I wanted to say where my
Me too.
family is, where I wanted to drop the mic and say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah.
Don't ever mention my name on any
Right.
website or public comment ever again. But I couldn't. I
Right.
couldn't walk away and let them think that they could take away our vote from District 1. They don't even live in District 1.
Correct.
And then when we finally got her off, was she going to run for the seat now? So I pulled papers,
Makes sense.
and once I saw the other two candidates, I said, well, if that's I have to do this. I can't stop what the work we've moved Moreno Valley forward, all the work we've been doing for the last years. You know where we were before and where we are
Sure.
now. It's you yourself. We had a conversation. We're moving forward so much. But look, we right now we can't even put people on our commissions. We
Mm-hmm.
can't get someone on the library commission because they can't agree. It's 2-2.
Right.
How do you
Right.
sit there and allow nothing to happen? How do you sit there and allow us to stall out for a year?
Mm-hmm.
Enough
Exactly.
is enough. We need to move our city forward. And with my voice on the vote, with my voice on the dais, Ed Delgado, ex-gen, while he's still here,
Still
we
here. Yeah.
can move Myrna Valley forward even if we have two people trying to drag us down. Even
Right.
if we have two people up there voting for themselves instead of the people they represent.
Right.
As a union president, a lot of times there was positions where the union's vote and the union's voice needed to be expressed. I
Mm-hmm.
was responsible for reporting to the board as union president every once a month. And so there were times where what I felt and what I wanted didn't match what the majority wanted. So I had to get my feelings and my personal beliefs and tuck them away, put them in my pocket, and go up there and represent the members. I had to represent the people who had elected me. And that's what we're missing up in the dais. Ulysses up there running for mayor instead of doing his job as a city council member. Mark is up there deciding that him and his three friends, their thoughts and ideas should be take over everybody else in his district.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fair. He was elected. They were both elected to represent hundreds and thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit up there and put your will over the people. You're a representative.
Right. Right.
And they're losing that. They've lost that.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, like when I go to different city events, sometimes, as you know, Eloise Reyes, uh,
Yes.
who's the majority leader in California, you guys, this lady represents Grand Terrace and part of San Bernardino. She's the majority leader in California Assembly, and I'm friends with her. Elena, you're familiar with her, so we have some connections there. It's kind of embarrassing sometimes, and and if you do get on the dais, and I hear it all the time when people say, "Where are you from?" And I say, Moreno Valley, and they're like, "Oh man, what the hell is going on, out there?" And you know what I mean? You have that stigma because it's like we keep going in circles with this corruption and perceived corruption and developers and all this other stuff. But one of the biggest things that I was really embarrassed about that somebody had told me about recently is in that situation where LaDonna Jimson was saying, "Oh, I'll do the job for free," or "I didn't know what a Brown Act violation was." When all the signs you were telling her, I was telling her, everybody, the lawyer was telling her, and then to dump on the lawyer like you want to get him fired for doing his job by advising you. You got to get up there and sit with these people. And I'm not saying they have an axe to grind, but it's like I until this very day, I am still trying to figure out what why did LaDonna Jimson need that seat so badly? Because the next day, and I don't know if you remember this, if you go back look at some of my videos, I went to City Hall to harass them like I usually do, or whatever I'm doing, my constitutional rights. Okay, and your mother was being laid to rest that day, and I was at City Hall, and LaDonna comes into the City Hall that morning, and I was just ghoulish a look in my face because I was like, what is it that this woman cannot even wait until a person has been laid to rest for a week, that she has to have that seat where she's willing to, oh, I'll do it for free, I'll do this, it was just so desperate. And I'm still trying to figure out what was the end game with all of that.
I'm not sure, but she got them in trouble by taking that seat. She should have said, no, this is illegal, and walked away. And then when she said, I'll do it for free, she was trying to get us in trouble again. You're not allowed to do that. That's
Right.
illegal. They tried to, I think Jeff Hewitt tried to do that, and it was in
Mm.
the paper. Is she
Yeah.
not informed? Does she not know? I
Well,
mean,
that's what I was going to ask you. Don't they go to training if it's your first time occupying a seat, and they tell you about ethics and all the other stuff that you're
new
supposed to
mayors and
know?
council resource guide.
Right.
My
Exactly.
mom's, but I was reading
Hmm.
through it, and yes,
Right.
they do tell you. They
So
they
so
let you know. You have to know this stuff. And
right.
in case you forget, the city hires an attorney to remind you.
Right. Right. And like I said, I'm looking at these people, Dave Marquez, who cares about the Brown Act? I was like, I couldn't believe he said that. And we're not here to dump on those guys, but what I'm saying is, as a council member and somebody in the community who stood up to these people, you're going to have to sit right next to them and work with them. So how is that going to work with that dynamic, knowing that,
We each get one vote.
right,
Yeah,
right,
we each get one vote, and so I plan to use my vote to represent our citizens, and maybe we'll lead by example. Maybe they'll see that we're voting as the citizens, and they'll do the same. But unfortunately, they may not, and they may need to be removed from office.
right. Real quick, as we wrap this up, I got two more questions real quick. And this is the question that I think that's very prominent. This is a special election. So that means if you win this seat, you're going to be on this seat for what, 2 years?
Yes.
2 more years. Let's say you do a bang up, by God, great job, and people want to see you continue on this seat. You still have kids and family, things you want to do, and aspirations that you want to do. Do you see yourself possibly, if you're doing a good job, staying, if people want you to stay, or if you're doing a terrible job, just saying, hey, I'm done, I'm just here for 2 years, I'm going to go about my business and do what I got to do?
2 years, 8 months.
I'm not looking at the next election. I'm looking at April 12th. So I couldn't even tell you. I have doors to knock on. I have phone calls to make.
Right.
I have signs to fix, as you've seen.
Yeah. Well, I'm not turning them down.
I have
That's
a
not
lot
me.
on my plate right now, getting through a special election, trying to get people to vote, informing them that it's going to be a mail vote. We have phone banking. We have events planned. So unfortunately, I'm not thinking long term right now. I want to finish the term that's in front of me. So maybe we can have a conversation in 2024, you and I.
Sure,
But for
sure.
right now, let's focus on these 2 years and everything that we can do because I know you're one of the most vocal residents of District 1. So I look forward to working with you. I
Absolutely.
look forward to getting text from you saying, hey,
Yeah.
did you see, XYZ over in Edgemont? And I could say no, but I'll stop by in a little bit
Yeah.
and check it out with you. I plan
Absolutely.
to hear your ideas and any
Sure,
other residents, even if they don't vote for me. If
sure,
they have
sure.
an idea and have some thing, I don't have all the answers, but together we can. And I'm open to whether you vote for me or not. I will represent you to the best of my ability, and that's where my focus is on right now. These 2 years, doing the most I can.
Right. And as we close, the last question is, what do you think is your mom's biggest legacy? Because again, she was the first Latina on the council, and I don't care if people like your mom or don't like your mom and listen to this and they listen and they have an opinion about your mom, but the fact of the matter is, she did a lot in the city, and she did not beat her chest, excuse the pun, and say,
Uh,
"Look at me, look at me, look at me." If people did their homework like I finally did, I found out that your mom did not want to sit there and want all the accolades and all that other stuff. And another thing I really did like about your mom, because I'm a military man, she stood on what she believed 10 toes down and didn't care what people thought and what they said, whatever. She was straightforward with what she's going to do. And I have to respect that. So, what do you think your mom's legacy is here in Moreno Valley?
I think her legacy was leading us out of the dark. She was the first in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things. When I was born, she was in 10th grade.
Mm,
So she was part of a program that it was called Esperanza program, and it allowed the students to come to high school with their children, and they got to finish their education.
wow.
So we
Mm-hmm.
finished 2 years at Roosevelt High School,
Mm-hmm. I know
and then
that's
she
that.
moved on to East Los Angeles College. So I
Mm-hmm.
spent 2 years at the daycare in East Los Angeles College, and we graduated. She graduated with her associates the same day I graduated from preschool.
Right on.
So she was part of that, from the beginning. She was, a mover and a shaker, and she
Mm-hmm.
was the first in a lot of things. When we moved out to Moreno Valley, her and Richard Sandoval, who runs Hispanic Lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
started the first Hispanic chamber
Right. That's right.
in Moreno Valley. So they
Mm-hmm.
started the first one. When she was elected to the Moreno Valley Unified School Board, she was the first Latina elected there.
Sure was. Mm-hmm.
When she was elected to the city council, well, when we worked on Jesse Molina's campaign, we helped get him to be the first Latino
Uh-huh.
elected. And when she won, she became the first Latina. When
Mm-hmm.
she chaired the JPA, she was the first woman to chair the JPA.
Yeah.
So
Right.
a lot of firsts
Yeah.
um, in my mom's life, and I think that goes back to where we when I was growing up, we said if you don't like the representative, then become the representative. And she just really lived that. She really lived what she said,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she was true to her word. And if she said she was going to help you, she was going to help you.
Yeah.
Whether you had the money or whether you were in her district, if you were hiring her and you didn't have the money, she'd still help you.
Right.
If you
Exactly.
were a business owner, whether you were in her district or not, she'd still help you. It
Sure.
didn't matter where you came from. She would do her darnest to give you and do anything she could for you. And I think that was what a lot of people remember her for. Recently, when the whole illegal appointment came out, and a lot of people who, I mean, I know who they are, but they're not friends of mine. We're speaking about
Right.
all the help that she's given them. It's just, and even people, still sending me message, your mom did this. There's so much that she did and didn't get credit for, or didn't ask
Mm-hmm.
anybody, didn't tell anybody. There was just so much behind the scenes things that she did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And real quick, Shante says, where can we get signs?
So
If
we have a
people are,
campaign office here on
yeah,
Sunnymead Boulevard, and so on Tuesday night, if you're looking to get on the council meeting and you're having trouble with Zoom, send me a message. We'll get you the address, and you can pick signs up then. But
awesome.
again, if you're having trouble getting on Zoom, send me an email. There's at the bottom. I can walk you through. We can do a practice Zoom, so get you familiar. And if you're having a lot more trouble, we're going to open up the office and have as many as possibly safe for us to distance and be able to do the meeting here, because like Roy said, people are having trouble, and it seems to be stopping people from attending. So we'll open up our office and help anybody out.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Elena, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for not listening to the people that say that I'm just going to rip your head off and just, set you up and do all this other stuff. I want to move the city forward just as much as you do.
I know you do.
And, I'm a little passionate about how I do it. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Elena Baca Santa Cruz, and she is running in a special election for District 1. This is a very powerful candidate. I mean, I liked what I heard today. She didn't shy away from a lot of the questions. Look her up. She's on Facebook. Her campaign webpage is on Facebook, and I'll put that up after the show for those people that also want that. And Elena, if you need anything whatsoever, you can always contact me, let me know. And if I could do it, I will do it. I'm in Edgemont, so I do have a serious beef out here with everybody because I'm in Edgemont. But like I said, I always tell people, you are your mother's daughter, but you're not your mother. You look like her. You guys got strong genes. You have that passion like she does, but you're standing on your own and continuing that Baca legacy. And I think the city's going to be better for it if you get on the dais. So,
thank you.
Again, thank you for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it.
You'll be voting for me, Donovan?
Hey, I'm still kind of open. I'm still kind of open there. I got to be kind of neutral right now because I got other candidates I got to look at and vet. But, again, you being the first candidate, that says a lot to me. I'm impressed when people do that. So
Absolutely.
That's
okay. Thank you so much.
You guys, and you have a good night. And we're going to be talking a little bit later.
Okay.
All right. Bye. All right, you guys. There it was. Elena sent. I was impressed. I don't know about you guys, but I was impressed because let's be real. Elena and Mother and I did not see eye to eye on a lot of things, but there was a mutual respect there. And again, I found out a lot of information. I didn't know Elena was a grandmother, or not a grandmother, I'm sorry, mother 3 times. 3 kids, family, and all that other great stuff. She seems very, very well prepared. She works for the school district. These are a lot of things that I think is a plus in a candidate's situation. Because she works at the school board, she works with a diverse group of people, especially younger people. And let's face it, you guys, you baby boomers are on your way out. Generation Xers, we're right behind the baby boomers. So we need new ideas, new direction. And I had a whole bevy of questions, and she answered every question to the best of her ability and was actually honest about it. I don't think she's against warehousing, but she understands how it works and what jobs it does bring. So I love that answer. She knew how to do that. She understood the importance of March Air Reserve Base. She understands education, which is very important. As you guys know, I've been here since 1977, around that time, and we don't even have a youth center. We're going to work on that. There's a lot of things that we can do to move the city forward. The taxes that are coming up, and she seems. I don't even say seem. She knows how to get along with people, even if she doesn't really care for those people. We had some people in the chat that I know it seemed like I was skipping over your questions and stuff, but I made a promise that I was not going to do that in regards to any of the candidates. We're not going to be disrespectful to any of the candidates that come on the platform. So again, I am just amazed and I'm thankful she came on the platform because she didn't have to do that, and she did. And that tells me that she's not afraid to do the work. She's not afraid at all to do the work. Seriously, give this woman a vetting and really consider voting for the best candidate. And I think she's an excellent speaker. I was impressed with her when the coup actually happened and she stood up for what was right. And to me, that's very important. Character to me is very, very important. And I believe all of the candidates that are running in this election have character. It's going to come down to who is best to serve the district. Okay, so Donovan Saadiq, the Inland Empire Informer. Again, I was blown away because this is not, what I was thinking this candidate was going to be. I'm not saying, she was just going to be all mean and, and deflecting and stuff. She is her mother's daughter. That's something to be proud of. And she stands on her own. And I like that. She's her mother's daughter, but she stands on her own merit. And that is so damn important. Um, here, put this up here real quick. This was great. I am thoroughly impressed by Elena. She's a force to be reckoned with. Yes, I actually believe that. The other candidates, hey, I'm going to keep these questions. I'm going to keep these exact questions for the the candidates when they come out. And what a great night. The Rams are going to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is here in Los Angeles. And I want to give a special shout out before I go to Crystal Litz. Let me tell you guys something about this. Crystal, I want to thank you again because I wasn't going to make an effort to reach out to Elena because I was under the assumption that, hey, she doesn't like me. I said some bad things about her mom. So I'm not even going to try. And yeah, Elena actually is a grandmother. Yeah, that's right. Young grandmother, by the way, but that's okay. Um, yeah, she's a grandmother, and she's doing the job. Seriously, I'm impressed. I am impressed. I am more than blown away because she wants what's better for the city. And wow. But let me get back to Crystal. If it wasn't for Crystal, who helped facilitate this meeting tonight, I want to thank you, Crystal, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. If it wasn't for you, this would not have happened. And the people who, because of COVID, are not going to be able to, meet these candidates. Now they have an idea of what Elena actually stands for. And, and you get a feel for a candidate, even if it's by long distance and stuff. So Crystal Litz was very, very, she was very, very important in doing this meeting. And she said that, oh yeah, Elena's not going to back down. She'll come on your cheap show. She didn't say that. Crystal didn't say that, but Crystal was like, yeah, she'll come on the show. Why wouldn't you think she wouldn't come on the show? And you were absolutely right. And she blew me away. And I'm not saying that just to say that. I'm saying that because if you guys have followed my show, I will sometimes take your head off if you're going to do that. And Elena was like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I do. Kind of like her mom. And I can say that. That's why that one of those questions that I had said was her mother was like focused. That's what she was going to do, unapologetic. And I respected that. If that's how she felt about it, I respected it. And this is what I see in this candidate here. So next up, I have to get Renee Ramos here on the show. A lot of people have been asking about Renee Ramos. And by the way, I bet you Elena is heading out right now to go do some signs. Renee Ramos on the show, and I'm going to get Jerry Mercado, who has committed to coming on the show. So I got to check his schedule and see how it goes. And Shantae, good night to you, sweetheart. I will call you tomorrow on your way back from work. So Andorra says, hope the other candidates are honest and answer questions with all honesty like Elena. Something tells me they will be rehearsing with their buddies. Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Elena is kind of skilled because she's been doing this stuff for a very, very long time in the shadows. So I got to give her that. But I'm serious. I was highly impressed. And if she does get on the dais, I think it's a win for everybody all the way around. I really think all three candidates are really good. It's going to be a hard choice to do that. So again, if you guys have any questions, Elena's email is at the bottom there. Please check it out. If you got any questions for her outside of what we already asked her, I think it's going to be awesome. You guys got to understand, being a city council member is very, very tough. You got people calling you all hours of the night. My dog is missing. My cat is in the tree. There's a pothole, in my lawn or something. And, these people, it's rough. I mean, it's just a rough thing. And they've got family, they've got city staff to deal with, all kinds of stuff. But I was highly, highly impressed with this interview. I really was. So Elena Santa Cruz, if you guys are interested, that person I think is Woo! That's going to be tough. That is going to be a tough beat. The other two candidates, not saying it's impossible. Nothing's impossible. We're not going to sit here and think that Elena is just going to run away with it. But because and she's a very humble person, because she's like, no, don't think because my name is Baca that it's a shoe-in for me or anything like that. She's she's showing you with the signs and all this other stuff that she's doing that she's in it to win it. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. I get the other guys. We're going to get that going. And again, what a great candidate to have on the show. Go Rams, Super Bowl. I think what it's going to be, the Rams and the Bengals. Should have been the damn Cowboys. What the hell? But oh well, next year. Next year is another go around. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to move the city forward. And we've got to get out of this my team, your team, you're not in my club is not in your club, whatever. I will support anybody that is for the betterment of the city. And in this district, we have a lot of work to do to catch up to the other districts. And all of these candidates are good. I think that it's going to be a very, very tough decision. So we'll see how it goes. You guys have a good night. God bless you and keep you. And we will see you guys on the next go around. Donovan Saadiq, the Inland Empire Informer.